And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Bill Maher versus Whoopi Goldberg, a brutal takedown. Bill Maher is out here wrecking woke arguments like it's his full-time job, and his latest target, none other than Whoopi Goldberg. Now, let's be real, the actress kind of had it coming given her ever-growing portfolio of cringeworthy statements since 2022. Maher didn't just criticize her. He verbally disassembled her, piece by piece, in a takedown so brutal it left Whoopi scrambling for cover like a cartoon character dodging anvils. So what exactly did Goldberg say this time to earn Maher's unfiltered wrath? And how did his clapback manage to leave the woke mob devastated?
We have got to get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing. The right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
Don't worry, we've got all the juicy details right here. Buckle up, folks. This isn't just a bumpy ride. It's a roller coaster with no seatbelts. Whoopi Goldberg has poked the bear, and now she's dealing with the claws of brutal truth, and oh, it's not pretty. Remember our last video where Bill Maher shredded Sunny Hostin for trying to pull a fast one by putting words in his mouth? Well, turns out the View crew isn't taking the L quietly this time. It's Whoopi Goldberg stepping up, apparently on a revenge mission to deliver their pound of flesh.
And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class? I mean...
Looks like Sunny couldn't handle the heat Maher brought, so she called in the cavalry, Whoopi Goldberg herself. And boy, did she come in hot, ready to rumble like a contestant in a reality show nobody asked for. I mean, classic Whoopi Goldberg, flipping through the woke playbook like it's her Bible. When your argument is sinking faster than the Titanic, whip up a straw man and go on the attack. Bill Maher was making a clear point about Black Americans wanting better jobs, a stronger economy, and responsible policing. Simple enough, right? But here comes Whoopi, rambling about voting.
Tear down statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no. It's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid.
For a former prosecutor with plans for the working class. Does that connect? No. Do you see the logic? Of course not, because there isn't any. It's like she's playing darts blindfolded, hoping something sticks. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And Bill Maher didn't let it slide. He didn't mince words. He pointed out that Whoopi's ideas are probably nonsensical, which is typical of The View. The View has become the political talk show equivalent of a train wreck. Painful to watch, yet somehow impossible to look away from. And he also admitted his responsibility in something that seemed...
The criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now.
As inherently ridiculous. Sure, it's known for its controversial and, let's face it, questionable takes on just about everything. But Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg have managed to elevate the chaos to new heights with their utterly outrageous commentary. Remember that time Charlemagne the God bravely faced the set as a guest? You could practically see him wondering if he'd stumbled into some sort of alternate reality. The criticism is valid. The criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time, acting so self-righteous. The reality is, he didn't have to say anything in regard to whether or not his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have just said, hey man, I'm not focused on that right now.
I'm gonna stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You
his
really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a
No,
sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
Here's the backstory. President Joe Biden, the self-proclaimed champion of no one being above the law, just pardoned his son Hunter Biden after, surprise, surprise, he was found guilty of corruption and other related offenses. Talk about family values, right? This move has predictably set off a
It was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
firestorm of criticism. After all, how do you square the whole "no one is above the law" stick when your son gets a free pass? It's almost like saying justice is blind, unless you're a Biden. Hunter's guilt was as obvious as a toddler caught with cookie crumbs on his face. Yet somehow, accountability just didn't make it onto the family calendar. That was Charlemagne's point. If the woke mob claimed no one was above the law,
So I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
You're
go out.
mis-
They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
They don't have to do that.
then they should live by their own standards. Simple, right? Well, Whoopi thought otherwise. Let me stop you for a second. Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed. You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend? Oh, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get away with things. And there you have it, another eye-rolling gem from the Queen of Cringe.
You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit.
Herself, Whoopi Goldberg. This time, Whoopi actually claimed that President Biden didn't lie when he said no one is above the law. Really, Whoopi? Because there's a mountain of evidence, video, audio, and probably even cave paintings, proving he said exactly that. This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. Watching Whoopi tell a blatant lie is like watching someone confidently argue that the sky isn't blue while standing under a cloudless sky. At this point, Whoopi's mental gymnastics could qualify her for the Olympics. But even then, she'd probably trip over her own logic. You could even see the shock on Charlemagne's face at Whoopi's statements. But she didn't stop there. She claimed it was possible Biden changed his mind because he was sick and tired of watching everybody get over him. Charlemagne was stunned into silence. So I'm just going to follow.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course, you
no,
don't
but
follow
I mean,
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats. But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out there and stand on this moral high ground. They don't have to do that. So the problem with the woke mob. You see, the problem with the woke mob is they only call out wrongdoing when the offender isn't part of their exclusive little club. But when the guilty party is one of their own, suddenly the outrage turns into a whispered defense or a convenient case of selective amnesia. Of course, Whoopi and her ilk got away with their shenanigans.
Above any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
Because it was Charlemagne on the show, but when Bill Maher got wind of their antics, he said, "Hold my beer," and he delivered one of the finest verbal eviscerations we've heard in a while. You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bulls. Couldn't have said it better myself. The woke mob loves to parade themselves as the ultimate truth tellers and moral compasses, but their double standards were laid bare for the world to see. This time, Hunter Biden was guilty, plain and simple. But because his dad happens to sit in the Oval Office, he gets to walk away without so much as a slap on the wrist. If this were anyone else, the mob would be calling for their head on a silver platter. But when it's one of their own, suddenly, justice takes a back.
Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them. Black people, they're just like us.
To favoritism. It's hypocrisy at its finest, and Maher was right to call it out for what it truly is, a complete farce. Inclusion. The real question is, how much longer will Americans put up with this two-faced behavior? It's not just about Hunter, it's about a system that bends over backward for the powerful while throwing the book at everyone else. Maher's takedown wasn't just timely, it was a wake-up call for anyone still clinging to the illusion of fairness. But here's where it all gets interesting. Maher pointed out that the woke mob often
Said there's a coalition of Trump voters, people who really like him, they certainly are those, and then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common sense.
Gets help from the mainstream media. Was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden story? He's talking about the press doing that. He's saying that's what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they couldn't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election. And we know for a fact that's exactly what they did. Of course, you don't say you know for a fact because you only watch MSNBC. No.